Hey everybody, you are about to watch the Dr. Jaime Show. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hey everyone, welcome to the Dr. Jaime Show and happy Friday. Today is going to be a great day. It is sunny and beautiful in Tampa. I love the sun. I love the heat. Yes, I'm that person that doesn't mind the humidity and the 1,200 degrees it is outside. I don't like being cold. But this is a show all on increasing your happiness, likability, and success in life. And today on the show, we have Supna Shah, parenting expert and founder of We Go Kids. She's done a lot of audio with us, so she is a returning guest, but it is her first time going live with us. I'm so excited to have her join us today. So before we bring her out, I have a little bit of the pre-show to go down, some guests that are coming on that I want to share with you, and some really cool stuff from this week I can't wait to share with you. And one of it has to do with New York, and another has to do with Randy Zuckerberg, and another has to do with my book, so just hold tight. I can't wait to share the news with you. Next week on the show, so that will already bring us to February. You know what's going to happen? We're going to be like, oh my God, it is the end of quarter one. That's what's going to happen here shortly. We're going to be like, where did quarter one of 2018 go? So make sure that you're sticking with those goals because it's going to come quicker than you think. So next week, we have Pasco County Corporal and lead of Human Trafficking Division, Alan Wilkett, and Sarah McDougall. Sarah McDougall is a returning guest. She's an abuse recovery coach. But we are going to be talking about human trafficking, and Alan, let me get this right, is the 2017 Florida Human Trafficking Law Enforcement Official of the Year. He got that award from our Attorney General, so that is a huge deal, and he is going to be here, sitting in this chair here next week. And then on the 9th, we have a candidate for Tampa Mayor on the show. His name is Topher Morrison. We're going to pick his brain about what he wants to see out of Tampa. What's Tampa not so good at that he wants to make better? What is Tampa great at? We're going to learn a little bit about that. And all of you out-of-towners, maybe you'll want to move here and come hang with us on the Dr. Jaime Show. On the 16th, we have owner of USA Spine, Dr. Colleen Maxey. She's a pain surgeon. She was on the show previously in a woman's power hour that we did, but she's going to come back and strictly talk about pain and how to help heal it without all of these crazy medications that it seems like 90% of the country is on at this point. It's insane. Okay, and then on February 23rd, it's a short month, so that's the last show of the month of February. We have President of Marketing Matters on the show, Colleen Sternsleep, and we're going to learn how you can get more social media followers. I get that question all the time. You're going to have the answer on the 23rd of February. And then March, we are absolutely, as of this morning, packed through March and the start of April. I'll give you the first guest of March. It's Dr. Michelle Fisher. She's an ear, nose, and throat doctor, ENT. And we're going to talk about allergies and answer all of your questions about this whole space. So feel free to go ahead and message me in your questions. Speaking of messaging and questions, you guys messaged me so many questions to ask Supna. I am so excited to have all of your questions answered today. All right, so a little bit about the week. What a great week this was. All right, so the big news. I can sort of tell you a little bit about the big news. I can't tell you who the big news is with, me and somebody else. A pretty awesome company. But I can tell you that I should be able to tell you on the next Dr. Jaime Show by Friday. Hopefully I can announce on social media a little bit sooner. But I will be going to New York here shortly. That's all I can say. And it's super great for the brand. So thank you for all of your support, likes, and follows, because we are moving up. So that is pretty exciting for me. Okay, so another great thing. So I was doing a search on some books, and somehow this link came up, and it was, they don't alert you. Like, what amazing things happen, like Huffington Post said Dr. Jaime Show was America's rising podcast star. They never alerted me to it. Like, they just don't tell you. But I ended up finding out there is a site of the 99 best work-life balance books of all time. That was their words. Do you know who came in 21st? This girl right here. That's right. So get your copy of the Superwoman's Guide to Super Fulfillment, step-by-step strategies to create work-life balance right on Amazon right now. Apparently, I and guess what? Number 2 or 3 was the 4-hour work week, which everybody knows. And mine comes in like 18 under that. That's huge. So wow, it was just so amazing. Because when you start these things, you never think like that something real is going to come about with it. You know, you get all this self-doubt and all this fear, but if you just stay consistent and you do one day at a time, there will come a day when you look back and you're like, all of those days added up and I did it. So don't give up that dream that you have. I promise you, as long as you're consistent and you don't give up, your dream will come true. I promise you. All right, so something really cool. So University of Tampa had a speaker come in. That speaker is Randy Zuckerberg. Do you know who that is? That name sounds familiar, right? She is the sister of the founder of Facebook. And so she chatted a lot about women and business and sort of her life. And what I love that she said at one point, and I think this, but I've never actually said it like this, but I want you to. And this is for the women out there, but men, if you're timid or shy or sort of working on speaking up, you can use this as well. And she said this, and I quote, "What would my male colleague say?" So what happened is she was in the middle of a project, and you can get super creative at Facebook and coming up with any types of projects. So she was designing Facebook Live, which she didn't really know was Facebook Live at the time. She was just like trying something new. And it was like an all-nighter fest that they had. And she's creating it, and she's on Facebook Live. She created it, and she had one viewer, she said, and it was her mom. So I love it. And so, you know, toward the end of the night, she's like, oh, this is just never gonna work. You know, this sucks. And she just sort of walked out and ended it. Well, a couple days later, apparently, Katy Perry's agent called and said, we want to launch, I think it was like her world tour on Facebook Live. And Randy said, like, she was thinking in her head, I wanted to say, oh no, I'm sorry, Facebook Live just isn't going to end up working, we're going to take it down, something like that. And then she stopped and her mind said, what would my male colleague say? She's like, absolutely. This is the best place to launch a world tour is Facebook Live. And I think Katy Perry did launch her tour on Facebook Live. So the point is, I want you to take a step back. And when you are negotiating or when you want something, before you speak, ladies, stop and say, what would my male colleague say? And actually, I used that this week and probably landed myself some pretty big things behind the scenes. And I've done that before, but I've never said it like that. Sometimes I'll say, what would a guy do? And I really do. But now I'm going to say, what would my male colleague say? And for guys out there, you could say, if you have a mentor, what would my mentor do right now? So that is my challenge for you this week, ladies. I want you to use that at least once this week, coming up ahead of you. What would my male colleague say to this? And sort of speak up. So I know you don't want to hear this anymore. What you're really here for is Supna Shah, parenting expert and founder of We Go Kids. And you want answers to your stack of questions. Supna, come on out. Yay. Give me a hug. Thank you so much for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, take a seat. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. I feel like we just have to skip everything and just start.
Parents need help.
Parents need help now, apparently. Wes is raising his hand in the background. I think this is going to be a super popular topic today, so thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so before we begin the show, every guest has to tell us something unique, interesting, or bizarre about them that nobody or very few people know.
Okay. So something very few people know about me is I'm really good at keeping a secret. When I was pregnant with the triplets, I wanted to know the genders of the babies, and my husband didn't.
Wow.
So when it was time for the sonogram, the woman who was doing the sonogram had him close his eyes, and she typed in the genders next to each baby.
Yay!
And my entire pregnancy, the doctor and I were the only ones who knew what they were until the day they were born.
Wow. Oh my gosh. See, I could not be that parent. There's so many great parents out there that are like, okay, it's a surprise when it comes out. Damn it! No way! If I could know like 4 minutes after being pregnant, I would want to know 4 minutes into it. It's like a test. I always wanted to know the score. right when I got done with the test, how did I do?
Yeah.
So excellent. Did you ever play games with him? Like, can you guess what you think it is?
He would try to trick me into telling him. So he would say, we were all about, oh my God, how are we going to come up with 3 names?
Right.
So we need to make a list. So how many boys' names should we pick? How many girls' names? So I was really good at throwing them off.
Nice, excellent. All right, very good. So moving on, I want everyone to know who they're getting their information from. So before we talk about We Go Kids, who are you? So you're a mom, obviously.
Yes.
Triplets?
I have triplets. They just turned 5 in December.
Wow.
And I have survived.
Woo-hoo! She needs the crowd.
And then before mom, BK, as I say it, before kids, I was in corporate America. I led HR departments, so I have my senior professional of HR certification.
Okay.
I have my MBA from the University of Florida, and I'm founder of We Go Kids.
Nice. Any pets?
Oh, yes, we have a chocolate lab.
Okay.
She was our first baby.
Okay.
Will be 7 in May.
Okay.
Yeah.
So she was your first baby. That's
She
why I
was our
said, like,
first
I
baby.
can't get, I tell this story every week. I can't do pets. I'm a pet lover. We actually have a cat that's the neighbor's that kind of comes in here. It's so cute. But I can't, I have 3 boys. 2 in that one. I can't do like hair everywhere and walk the thing and scoop. At least my kids are potty trained. They can go, the dog, I have to keep scooping the poop forever.
Forever, right? if we didn't get her before, we would not have a dog.
Yes.
But can you believe it? I'm actually afraid of dogs.
Are you?
Yeah, but my husband wanted the dog, and people tell you we struggled with infertility for 10 years.
Okay.
So people say, get a dog or start adoption papers, and you'll have babies.
Wow.
There you go.
Did it work?
Oh, apparently.
Yeah.
2 years later, we got 3 kids. 3.
Wow.
She brought us 3, so.
Wow. That's great. So everyone out there that is looking to get pregnant, that is struggling, buy a dog. This is coming from the parenting expert.
That's right.
Or sign adoption papers.
Start adoption papers at least. Yeah. That'll do it.
I love it. Okay, so We Go Kids. How did life lead you into this?
Well, ironically, I was sitting on the floor when the triplets were 6 months old.
Okay.
They were taking a nap. I was on Facebook, which is one of the only lifelines new parents have to the outside world. And my yoga teacher sent me a Facebook message that said, I'm looking for cute yoga clothes for my grandkids and I can't find anything. Maybe you'll do something with that. Okay. And I laughed out loud because I'm thinking 6-month-old triplets, bottles, diapers, laundry. I was working full time from home because you only get 12 weeks of maternity leave no matter how many babies you have. And just trying to maintain some semblance of being a human. So I just responded to her, thanks for thinking of me, and that was that. But it planted a seed. And it's hard for me to explain, but the resources started showing up out
Did you ever
door.
tell her that?
Oh, yes. I think of her every day. And she's been a big part of helping me, giving me the motivation to keep going. But she, it was as though the universe was saying to me, this is your purpose. This is why you had to wait 10 years to be a parent, because you had to really understand what it means and to be in a place where you're going to be able to help other parents.
I love it. And she sent you a question that was so random. Like, can you do...
Totally.
I'm going to send you, like, I want to go on a world tour and take over the world.
There you go.
Something with it. Stop now.
There you go.
Wow. Okay. And so We Go Kids. So let's go back for a second. So she sends you this. How do you get into We Go Kids?
Yeah, so, literally, I started one day at a time.
Okay.
The resources started coming to me. We started talking about animal characters that do the yoga poses named after them.
Okay.
Designed our own line of animal characters. I learned about clothing and how to manufacture and just took it day by day. And really small baby steps. Mm-hmm. And we're getting our first factory-produced shipment in February.
Wow.
And we are, in addition to our clothing line, we are launching the first ever parenting web TV network.
Okay, so I want to talk about that. Hold for 1 second. So if you have to wrap up in like a sentence or two, what is We Go Kids to the viewers? What is it?
So it's the one place that people go for anything pregnancy or parenting related.
Bam, good. And then today it's the Dr. Jaime Show, but that's fine. After today, you can go to Week, okay? Okay, and then Parent Talk TV.
Yeah.
Okay, what is it?
So through my process of talking to parents, through telling them about the clothing and what it means, I found that parents just really needed more help. They had more questions, as you can see by the number of questions we got today. And so we deliver educational parenting content every day via TV shows in a really fun and entertaining way for parents. So it's really small, short shows that they can watch every day, and then we have free downloads for each show, ebooks, tip sheets, worksheets, so they can take what they've learned and implement it right away.
Wow, amazing. And what is the website in case these people want to go? What is it?
ParentTalk.tv.
ParentTalk.tv, excellent. And we'll be talking about that as we interweave that a little bit into these questions. Okay, so we talked about We Go Kids. All right, so normally we've got our slew of questions that we're going to talk about, but apparently
they have another plan.
They have another plan for us today. But I am going to take the reins here, and I'm going to ask my question first. So if I was an outsider, I would have said, Supna, when can children babysit?
Exactly.
Do you have an answer? Please say yes.
Oh, I have an answer you're not going to like.
I'm walking off stage.
So I ask parents to distinguish whether you're looking for them to babysit a sibling or to actually have a babysitting job.
Okay.
So I have two separate answers.
Okay, good.
So if it's for a sibling,
Yes, me. That's me.
I try to persuade parents to figure out a different alternative.
Okay, so she said 5. At age 5, they can watch all the other episodes.
That's what you heard?
Yes!
You'll pick one. You'll find what works for you and your family.
Okay, so say that again. So let's say they do have someone that's coming up on age, like we have an 11-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
So is it best, is there a law for that? Is it something I feel is best for my family? What is it?
Yeah, for siblings, you're going to figure out what works best for your family. I would take into account the developmental age of both the sibling that's taking care and the one that's being taken care of.
Yep.
Because they're at different stages in their life, and an 11 or 12 or 13-year-old will not understand. I should not be talking about doing or telling this child about these things they're not developmentally ready to understand it.
Oh, great point.
And then the other thing is kind of the emotional aspect.
Okay.
You know, I'm not a doomsday person, but if something were to happen, the emotional impact on the older child for having that responsibility and not being able to handle it because they weren't ready can be devastating.
You know, I absolutely agree with that. And Wesley is super mature. And I think he could have started at 9. I mean, no, I wouldn't have. I didn't. And he's 11 and he doesn't watch Blake. But I think about that.
Yeah.
And my biggest concern honestly is choking. I guess that's what I'm just going to flat out say it. So Wesley knows how to talk to Blake. Wesley knows how to deal with him. He would not wrestle him and play. They know what to do if I wasn't here. But Wesley wouldn't know what to do if Blake ate an apple and started choking on it.
Yeah.
So I believe for our family that Wesley going through a CPR class before and being certified would be the way to go for us.
That's an awesome choice.
Yeah.
And I would say that, you can also look at other alternatives like co-op with other families in your neighborhood.
Yeah.
If it's a date night that you want somebody, so just co-op with other families and trade off.
Yeah, I love that. And my mom had a good point too. She said, when Wesley's old enough to babysit, are you going to pay him a little something? And I always said, oh yeah, just like it would. And she goes, you should also give Blake a little something if he's good for his brother. So then instead of Blake acting out or testing the limits, he might be like, I want to be really good too because I'm going to get something from this as well. It's a good way to sort of ease into the babysitting for both sides of it.
Yeah.
So, okay, babysitting when it's not a sibling. What was your feedback on that?
When it's not a sibling, again, it's just like any type of job, the maturity level, definitely the responsibility level, and then look at all of the other activities that they're doing and see if it really fits in with the goals that you want for your child and that your child wants for themselves.
Okay, excellent. I remember I went through a babysitting class. So, and I did do CPR in the middle during that class as well. So, kind of beneficial. That would be my recommendation: is get whoever's going to be babysitting CPR certified, because you don't need any problems. Because even though that kid did the wrong thing. It's falling on your ass. So thanks for
And we are gonna We Go Kids. We provide like the interview checklist, questions to ask a potential babysitter or nanny, the background check that you should do, and a lot of other tips and guidelines for. Because my background is in HR, so I've got,
good.
This is these are the steps you need to take to protect
And you
yourself.
cannot discriminate. That's how you're I love it. And that's at
TV.
WeGo-kids.com. But ParentTalk.tv
has that too?
It has everything.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. When can children come out of car seats?
So that is a legal question. So each state is different. So I would ask parents to definitely look at your local, go to your local fire station or your local hospital, find out what the state laws are. As a general rule, there are height and weight limitations, and don't be in a rush to get into the next level.
Okay.
Keep them in their safe zone, is what I call it, for as long as possible, because the car seats have a purpose, and it's to keep them safe.
Okay, I love that. So there is a Home Depot right down the street from us, like literally a block. I could walk there. And so one day as a treat to Wesley, and he's 11, I let him sit in the front seat. Great. Came back and I said, I wonder if he's allowed to sit in the front seat. And then I don't think he is. I don't think he is, and I think it's because the airbag will do more damage to him. So you've got to check that airbag if you've got your kid sitting in that front seat. You might even have a 13-year-old, but what if they're super skinny and little, and the airbag might do more damage? I think it hits the face, Wes, because they're lower. I don't know. It hits them in inappropriate.
In the seatbelt.
And the way that the seatbelt lays. So just be really aware of that. We don't think about these things until there's an accident, and we're like, wow.
And on the show Raising EI, we recently interviewed Melissa Wandel, who is the national president of the Traffic Safety Coalition.
Oh, nice.
And she has a lot of great tips. Most accidents happen less than 1 mile from the home. And it's a really scary statistic.
It's so scary.
Yeah.
It's so scary. And you got to think about it. Most of our activity is within a mile of our home. We're going shopping. We're, going to the grocery store. We're going to Home Depot. But you're cutting out in front of people. Sometimes we live our life on autopilot and we just know the way and we just go. And sometimes we just aren't looking. So, okay. Next question.
Okay.
Viewer wants to know, what are your top at least 2 tips for potty training?
Okay. So, and I did potty train triplets. The first I say is really look for cues. Be very observational. Your child will give you cues when they're ready. Once you start getting their cues, everything else stops. You spend 3 to 4 days only in potty training mode.
Wow.
So everything else stops. You hunker down, stay at home, and go through the potty training process. After 3 or 4 days, if they're not potty trained, stop.
Okay.
They're not ready.
Okay. What are some signs that a parent would notice that, they might be ready?
They'll actually go to the toilet.
Okay.
They will say, communicate verbally, I have to go.
Okay.
And so you can ask them questions. You'll look, when they do the potty dance,
Uh-huh.
I have to go potty, then you'll know that.
I do that still.
Yeah, right? Exactly.
Okay.
So, but if they're not potty trained, after 3 or 4 days, stop. They're not ready. Give it another few weeks. Keep looking for the cues. When you see more of a consistent pattern of cues, then try it again.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great tip. And my biggest tip is don't ever get mad at your child when it comes to potty training.
Yes.
You are going to make the process longer. I
Yes.
know we're impatient. I know it's your child and they're 3 and they should be potty trained by now. I know. But it's okay. I promise you they will be peeing in the toilet by the time they're 18. We're good.
Exactly.
So, yep, they're good to go.
Exactly right.
And Wesley took longer. He was borderline pushing 4 to be fully, and I don't know if that's wrong or not, but I don't really care because he's perfectly fine now. And then his brother came in, and wow, I'm talking 18 months, something crazy, 2 years or something. And he saw his bigger brother. He's learning.
Yeah.
So don't, it's okay. You don't have to be oh my God, my kid was potty trained at 4 months. I hate when people say that. I'm like, well, you know what? Mine wasn't. Oh well. But he's doing damn good in school right now. So, and he's fine. So, don't sort of look to society and be like, oh my God, how can I show off my kid? Or oh my God, my kid's behind, it can't say anything. Don't worry about it. Don't get mad at them. And then accidents, like it's okay if they have an accident.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. And there was one other thing I was going to say about that. Oh, I don't know if you ever did this, but one trick that I learned with boys is if you put a Cheerio in the toilet and you tell them to aim, they like to aim. So you can go ahead and get them to pee on a Cheerio. So
works with grown-ups.
Yeah, I was going to say it works with Wes. Wes does it, and it works great for him. So that's another trick of the training. Any other parenting potty training tips that people have to know that you can think of? Or are those the big ones?
Those are the big ones. I'll tell you with the boys, they actually sit and pee still.
Okay.
So that's okay also.
Okay.
To wait for a while to get it to teach them to stand and go to the bathroom.
Okay.
And
I misunderstood what she said. She said, you said, sit. I thought she said, it's okay, they sit and pee. Like, they just sit in their pee all day. I'm like, I don't know if that's okay. I don't know. It's okay if you sit and pee here. Okay, so, and then when they're ready to stand, they're ready to stand.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we put a lot of pressure, by comparing what other children are doing. It's a developmental thing. And your kid will tell you when they're ready. Just don't worry about it so much.
Okay. With your three, I'm curious, did they all do it at the exact same time? Was one this age and one, how did it work?
My daughter was first.
Okay, girls like,
Yeah.
whatever.
What can I say?
I mean,
Yeah. She was first, and then she actually, I will say, taught the boys.
Okay.
So for me, with having triplets, I didn't care when they were potty trained. I mean, they could be in diapers until they're 18.
Yep.
That wasn't a priority for me,
Okay.
and I just let it happen naturally. She was potty trained by 2.
Okay.
And then just like you were saying that Blake
watched.
learned from Wes,
Yep.
the boys watched her go, and then they started.
Nice. Excellent. Okay, very good. That'll be a good story for her later in life. You can say everything you know.
She already knows that.
Okay, so this sounds like it might be we're moving out of the diapers and into a older child here.
Okay.
When and how do you talk about drugs? Sorry, I said it so quietly because Wesley's homesick today.
Oh.
So he's 2 nights ago, 104.2 fever. That's the highest we've ever had in 11 years.
Oh no.
Crazy. So he's okay. He's at like 99 right now, but he's in there. So I'm forgetting I'm on camera and I'm like, drugs. Okay. When do you talk to your kids about drugs?
That's going to be a really situational answer. So it's going to depend on your child, where they are developmentally, what environment they're in, who their friends are, what they're doing at school. If you are not sure whether it's the right time or not, ask questions.
Okay.
And of course, if your child starts asking you questions, then it's the right time to start talking about it. But if you're not sure how much they know or what they know, then ask them questions, and they will guide you as to how much information they need, or if they're not ready yet.
What is your personal advice on you beating the school to talk about it to them?
There are, and that's a really great question. I personally think that the school takes on way too much responsibility of introducing our kids to certain things like drugs and other things.
Yeah.
It really needs to be a parenting choice, and that we expose our kids to those things when we know them best, when we think that they're developmentally ready. So the school should definitely communicate with the parent if they are putting them in a class where that's being discussed, or they are introducing them to curriculum when that's being discussed, and then you'll want to take that opportunity to beat them to it.
I want to say, was it with Wesley, Wes, or was it with Blake?
Wesley.
So with Wesley, I think he was in kindergarten or first grade, and they taught him about drugs, and they let him know that drinking alcohol is a drug, which it's not. And yeah, Wes and I have drinks, so are we doing drugs? But what they did is they told him this in kindergarten or first grade, and it was by error. The flyer to teach the students about drugs was supposed to go in the 5th grade teachers' boxes, and it went into the kindergarten or first grade teacher boxes. So he comes home saying drinking is a drug and this is what drugs are. And I'm like, I was like mad. I was pissed.
Absolutely.
So, so that was very annoying. And then I have a client in her school recently, she's in 6th grade. They huddled all the kids together in the auditorium to explain that we now are accepting of bisexual and transgender people. And so I think it's okay. I'm not against it in any capacity. That's not even a concern or a thought of mine. But I think you really need to think about what you're introducing. Is that your role as a school to huddle all the 6th graders? The 6th graders are just now peeking into their sexuality and sort of learning what's right and what's wrong and what can I do and what should I not do and just my identity and my body and what's going on. I think that should be more of a parent role.
I completely agree.
Completely
agree. And as parents, we don't feel empowered yet to be able to go to the school and to ask questions and say, when are you going to be teaching my child about this? How are you going to be doing it? I don't agree with that, and I don't want my child to be exposed to that information yet.
Yeah.
So, we have a journey to travel to really become more empowered as parents, to be able to help to kind of reverse the roles again and take control over what our children are being exposed to.
Absolutely. I think we do need to take back that role and sit down and talk with our children. And in the schools, if they have to keep talking about this stuff, and I understand that they do to an extent, because there are probably parents that don't talk about this stuff, right?
Yes.
Just the way you handle it. What if you approach it as, talking about learning for girls, maybe to learn to say no. And so you're introducing the concept, but you're coming with an angle of empowerment and confidence and how to say no and what's right and what's wrong. So.
And a lot of times the parents who don't talk to their kids about things, it's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't know how to.
Right.
And so by, joining our community and talking to other parents and really getting to understand, okay, every other parent is going through this, and how are we going to tackle it together as parents?
Excellent. I love it. We do. We need to come together to learn how to talk, especially with the changing dynamics in social media. And our times are changing. So the way that we introduce the birds and the bees and all of that and drugs and alcohol, it needs to be different and changed as well. And so I think we have a birds and the bee question in here. So someone sent in a couple questions here. The first one is top 2 tips for co-parenting.
So now with co-parenting, do you know if they were asking that?
I don't.
Okay.
I don't, but I would assume co-parenting is when the parents are divorced.
Or not.
Yeah.
So the biggest 2 tips that I have is to set a parenting goal together.
Okay.
As much animosity as you may have towards the other parent, or you may have a really great relationship, your role as parent takes precedence over it and takes priority. So set a parenting goal together. What type of child do you both want to raise? And then set your parenting rules together.
Okay.
So these are the rules for our household, no matter whose home they're in. And these are the choices that the parents are making together as a team that the children have to follow.
Okay, great. And no bashing the other parent, no matter how much you hate them.
No.
So you can scream in your pillow all the swear words and things you want to say, but your child is not the pillow that you get to scream into.
Yeah,
so, what do you do when you have a biter for a child? This is a huge question. A lot of people ask me this question. So, what do you do?
Okay, so there are 2 stages of biting.
Okay.
One is
childhood, one is adulthood.
I can still find people right on! That's good to know! I'm glad I know that now. So the first is when they do it as just a reaction.
Okay.
They are either frustrated or don't know how to deal with some of their emotions and they bite. There's a really great song.
Okay. Are you going to sing it for us?
I'm not going to sing it.
Are you?
It's called Little Bunny Foo-Foo.
Oh, hopping through the forest.
There you go. Scooping up the field mice and bop them on the head. Yep. So using words like stop, ouch, that hurts me in a really loud voice will really get their attention.
Okay.
And then you want to be really observational, because there's a point at which a parent will know my child is about to bite.
Oh, okay.
And that's when you want to say it, is right before.
Okay.
If you do it consistently for 2 to 3 days, and that's a book that you can read every day and talk about what it means to hurt another person, 2 to 3 days, the behavior should go away.
Okay.
If it doesn't, then you have to look at what the emotional trigger is. If it's frustration, then you have to be able to give your child tools to deal with frustration. If it's something else, then you have to give them tools to be able to deal with that emotion.
Okay. So that part of it is going to be really important for the people that, like, if you drop your kid off at daycare and the parent gets the call, your kid's biting again, because the parent's not there to be observant and know when the child's going to bite. So I do think it has a lot to do with the child being frustrated. One tip that I've learned along the way is children have very little control. Think about it. You tell them what to eat. You tell them when to go to bed. You tell them how to dress. You tell them when they're going to school. You tell them everything. Can you imagine if someone did that to you? This is what you're going to wear on the show today. And this is what you're going to say. And this is how you're going to talk. And then you're going to leave there. And here's where you're going to go. And this is when you're going to go to bed. You would want to just, so find ways to give them back control, and their anxiety and frustration will go down. So let their room be their haven, or the way that they set up their tracks, or the way that they line up their stuffed animals. Let them have like a little bit of control over those things.
I'm all about choices. Okay. So even at a really, really young age, at 1, you can give them a choice. Would you like to wear these shoes or these shoes?
Yes.
Would you like to wear this pant or this pant?
Yeah.
So empowering them to be able to make choices at that young age and to learn decision making at that young age will definitely help them as they get older. To your point about the daycare, you have to work as a team with whoever's taking care of your kid when you're not there. So you do have to ask them to observe your child.
Okay.
You know, if biting is an issue, it's just as much of an issue of the caregiver as it is for the parent.
Okay.
So don't feel bad or guilty, oh, my child is biting and I have to, resolve this. It is the responsibility of the caregiver to work with you to resolve the issue.
Okay.
Yes.
Excellent. And then on top of it, giving the frustration or the stress tips to your child.
Yes.
I love giving the choices. I want to go back to that for one moment.
Yeah.
Giving the choices to kids is so important. I will tell you something. I do this with the boys all the time. Now it's time to take a shower, right? So I would say, do you want to take a shower or a bath? Yeah. Do you want to take a shower right now or in 15 minutes? So I give them choices for everything. Here's what I will tell you, parents. It is a full-time job. It is a full-time job being a parent. And so it is. I know that they should take the shower just because they should take the shower.
Yeah.
But give them choices, and you will see a lot of their anxiety and subsequently the anger, because anxiety is masked with anger, often go down. So.
Yeah, completely agree.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, okay. So biter for a child, biter for an adult. What are your tips? Okay, she's got no tips on that. All right. So moving on. Should you talk to your children about social media? If so, what age?
So that's another kind of similar to the drug question. I let the child lead. So if they start asking questions about social media, then clearly you need to have the conversation with them. If you're not sure, ask them what their exposure is. It's going to depend on their age, what their environment is. Are their friends on social media? If you as a parent are spending a lot of time on social media, then you've got to have that conversation early on.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Wesley and I have talked about social media for sure. The next question is, what age should a child get a cell phone? I'm going to let you comment on that, and then I'm going to say something as well about that. And you all can hate me and send me hate messages. That's fine.
Oh, good. They're going to hate me too.
Okay, good. Okay.
Kids should not have cell phones.
Yep, you can hate me, you can type it in.
There you go.
That's all right. I understand it's like easier with school and stuff.
Yeah.
I don't really care. I am going to prolong the hell out of this cell phone and social media thing, because if a cell phone meant you pick up the phone and you dial a phone number and that was it, I would be okay with
Absolutely.
it. But they're texting in school and they're finding social media and they're downloading apps and they're playing games. Nope. Now, here's the thing. That's my preference and that's her preference.
Yes.
Of course, it depends on your family dynamics. Maybe you are a single mom and you're running, or a single father, and there's you have to have it. Okay. In that case, you need to set really strong parameters and boundaries around that computer, because it's not a cell phone, it's a computer.
Yeah.
So really thinking about that. So I'm glad you kind of agree with me on that.
Absolutely, 100%. And there are actually trends now where schools are, going back to the parent responsibility and the school responsibility. There are schools in this country that are investing in these lock bags.
Okay.
So when a child comes to school, they have to get their cell phone locked in a bag, and they carry it with them, but they can't unlock the bag without this tool.
Oh.
And so the phones stay off the entire day while they're in school. That should not be a school responsibility.
Right.
As parents, we have to take that control back and say to our kids, you're not going to school to have a phone, you're going to school to learn.
Yes.
So this is what we're going to do. But there are schools that are doing that and finding that the addictive nature of having a cell phone, they're weaning their kids off of that addiction.
Yeah, absolutely. I do think it's an addiction. So one of the things I talk about is we have dinner as a family every night together. No matter how late it is, and we're imperfect, and we have dinner at 9:30 sometimes, and that's okay. Sometimes we have 4 o'clock dinners. But my phone is always away.
Yes.
Always. So there have been a couple times that I just forget it. My cell phone's sitting right there, and we're eating dinner, and we're talking as a family, and then I just pick it up. It's sitting there. I'm like, I have to pick it up. There's nothing I need on the cell phone.
Yeah.
I just have to pick it up. And I'm like, nope. And I put it away.
Yeah.
So it's just amazing how prone we are to just picking it up right there.
And I will tell you also, it's not just parents or people like us saying it. The actual developers who have developed Facebook, Twitter, Google, Instagram, there was a recent article in the Wall Street Journal that talked about the addictive nature of the programming that they are using, similar to slot machines, to get your attention and to make it more of something that you feel like you have to have. And now, those companies need to take a little bit more responsibility about the impact that they're having on our children.
Yeah, especially on children. They definitely are addictive. And there's also research that shows people could leave and go to work and forget their wallet and be okay with it.
Yep.
But they
will
cannot
turn
forget
right around.
turn right around if we forget our cell phone.
Yes.
So, I can't, it's funny, right, Wes?
Yeah.
So when we, so Friday, after the show, I started, doing a decline for the day, and I chill for the weekend. Yeah. And so we'll do grocery shopping and stuff, and I'll be like, I'm gonna leave my phone here. I can do this. I can go to Publix and shop for 30 minutes without my cell phone. And I leave it, but I think about it for a second.
Yeah.
And you know what I miss? I miss nothing. I come back and I have no text messages or no calls or Oprah didn't call me, nothing dramatic. So, okay.
And honestly, if somebody calls you, you can call them back 30 minutes
later. That's a clever idea. This is
later.
coming to you from the parenting expert
That's
herself.
right.
You can call people back. Yep, that's right. The biggest takeaway from today's segment.
Yeah.
You can walk away from your phone and call people back. Okay, so next question, they have 2. How do you approach the birds and the bees conversation? I'm thinking it's going to be a little bit about the drug one, similar, but let's just answer it. How do you approach the birds and the bees conversation?
Yeah, so again, the developmental age of the child, the circumstances that they're in situationally, if they have older siblings, is going to play an important role because they're going to learn more faster if they do have an older sibling.
Okay.
And again, ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask questions. You don't always have to know the answers, but if you ask questions, you'll be able to get a gauge of where your child is, how much information they have, how much information they don't know, and then you can make a more informed parenting decision about what you want to expose them to and what they're not ready for yet.
That's a great point, and I also think what they're watching on their iPads also plays a huge role into it. So I monitor everything that Wesley watches relatively closely on that iPad. But I have another 11-year-old client. I have 2 of them. One's a girl, one's a boy. And they watch this anime type stuff. And there's some, interaction that's definitely more adult appropriate on these anime, and so they're asking a lot more questions about their sexuality sooner and saying things that are different from what children that aren't watching anime. So just really being cognizant, I think, of what they're watching, or if you're allowing them to watch that, that's fine. That's your decision as a parent,
right.
But you might need to have these conversations earlier to explain what is going on. And also the differences between reality. A child's mind is growing.
Yeah.
So they're taking in, let me take a step back. When you watch a movie and you're like, oh my God, I want to be like that person. So like a week, you kind of like, back in the day, you used to like try to act like that person for a week or two. They're trying to act like these characters. Yeah. And these characters are dying and using knives and guns and doing sexual stuff, and they're bouncing back perfectly fine. That's not how it is in the real world. When you start throwing guns and knives and sex into the mix of things, the outcome's not always great. So being sure to have that conversation early would be one of my tips. You agree?
Absolutely. And the thing with screens is I hear a lot of parents of younger kids say, well, I'm using it as an educational tool. Mm-hmm. But the research shows that a child that's growing, especially in those young ages of newborn to 6, learns more person to person than they do from a screen. So they may learn a task from a screen, but what they don't learn is to read social cues, to understand emotions. My mom is now getting frustrated because she can't figure out, or I'm feeling nervous because, and then how do you deal with those emotions? A screen, watching a show, all of those things are really flat, and they don't teach children about what it is to innately be human, which is that social and emotional connection that we need in order to thrive as a human being.
That's why we see a lot of our society they're very like closed in and all their emotions are pushed down. That's because they're missing that social, emotional side of things.
And the increased suicide rate in our younger kids, the increased depression, the increased medication. I mean, it's all adding up to be quite a disaster.
It is. There's that robot. What's her name was? Sophia, she's like the robot that. So there's like
AI
this
robot.
Yeah, there's a robot and she like interacts with like the UN and stuff. Like they're showing this girl who's a robot that she does a lot of things.
Yeah.
Recently, she was just able to identify some social emotional cues, and they're like, that's huge because she even knew as a robot, I can answer any of your questions. I can give you answers to anything. But I am still learning to understand like the way your face looks and that feeling. Like they don't, and that's what you said. These emotions are what humans are. Well, she's a robot, so it's very hard to learn those social emotional cues.
And technology is really important to our society. I mean, kids are going to need to learn how to use technology, but it's a tool.
Yeah.
And so when we start out not teaching them that it's just that to use it as a tool is where we get into issues. Okay. So I say at the younger ages, really focus on the emotional connection, the social connection, teach them how to be a human being, and then as they get older, you can teach them how to use a tool to further their academic knowledge or their information.
Okay, excellent. One more question here, and then I'm going to go ahead and jump onto my phone. We had a couple questions come in last night, so I'm trying to get them in the order that they were submitted to me. So what are some tips to get from your children? What are some tips to give to your children to be financially savvy?
I love this question. We just did an interview on Raising the Eye with Rebecca Walser, who is an expert on Bloomberg.
Okay.
She's got a book on Amazon bestsellers list, and we spent an entire hour talking about how to teach your child financial responsibility and to instill inner drive. So how to really get them to be motivated at an early age. So that segment has a lot of great tips. At a really basic level, just teaching them responsibility, teaching them the value of money and the exchange of these things cost money and how to exchange that.
Okay, that's great. So there's a great book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad, but they now have Rich Dad, Poor Dad for teens. That's great. Yeah. I started reading that with Wesley around 9. He wasn't able to read it himself because there are some concepts he needs to understand. We read it together as a family. Yeah. Also, every Friday we have family night. So during the week they earn points, and those points are converted to $1. So at the end of the week, let's say Wesley has $6, $6.6, and we go to the store and he sees something for $5.99. Oh, I can get it. Oh no, Wesley, there's tax to that. So they now have to, so I can get something in the $4 range or whatever so that it equals out to $6. So they learn about tax. They learn about money. They learn about not going over their budget. So there could be a toy, maybe they have the $6 and this thing they really want is on sale for $7. I don't let them get it. because you have $6. That's what you have. That's all you
got.
can spend.
Yeah.
So sort of sticking to that, that's a good way to teach them money, I think, as well.
And you can start, even at a really early age, you know, kids are taught to count beans and to count different things. Teach them to count money.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah, absolutely.
I love that. That's great. It's good educational right there for sure. Okay, so I got to jump on here for a second. Okay, so the question is, let's see, I don't have the question for you because it's not in my pictures where it should be. That's okay. Hold on, I'm going to get it for you. All right. Just hold tight. All right, I'll give you one more question while I'm pulling this up for her.
Okay.
What are some tips with being more patient? For example, my child is learning to tie his shoes, but I find myself always in a rush, and I see him trying, but I jump in to help him just to get it done and get out of the house. I can relate to this because sometimes, like, Blake is struggling, but we're all ready. Let's get out, because then if I don't help him, this one's gonna go to the bathroom, and this one's gonna go to the other side of the house. We're there. We're at the door. Hurry!
Yeah.
What can we do?
So the easy and the not fun answer is schedule more time before you leave. That's one thing. As a mom of triplets, I will tell you that is something that I learned really early on.
Okay.
I would think it's going to take me 10 minutes to get out the door. No, it takes me 30.
Why is that?
So,
I still can't, and I don't have triplets. I still can't get out of the door in 5 minutes.
So schedule more time. But the other thing for the tying the shoes, I would say think out of the box. So maybe one suggestion I thought of was to give him outside shoes and inside shoes.
Ooh.
The outside shoes are the Velcro shoes. The inside shoes are the tie shoes. So when you're going somewhere, he wears his outside shoes. When you come back home, he puts on his inside shoes. He can take as much time as he needs to tie his laces, and then he can wear those shoes inside, and he can practice as much as he wants at home. And then when you see him get to a point where he's picking up the pace, and then you can switch him out.
That's great. I'm gonna get you Velcro shoes.
I wear sandals.
I know. I love sandals. Sandals. That's what makes Florida good. Just,
Yes.
Just put on your flip flops. I'm like, just get your flip flops on.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I do have the question now for you.
I will also say, just as
Yeah.
an aside, with 3 kids, I actually keep a box of shoes in the car.
That's a great idea.
So sometimes if it just didn't work out, get in the car, I've got shoes in the trunk.
Yes, absolutely. I think that's a great. I was thinking that as you were talking. I was like, why don't we just have a pair of flip flops in the car?
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I got it. So Julie, I hope you're watching right now.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. Okay. I would like to know the best way to handle tantrums. Age 2. Also, this might be a question for both of you. I'm already terrified of my child becoming a teenager. Being sad, hurt, mad, going to school and dealing with mean people, dangerous situations. It seems like a different world than when we grew up. Any mom anxiety tips? So the first question is tantrums. The second one is anxiety tips for mom.
So I could spend 2 hours talking about tantrums.
Okay, you've got 8 minutes. Go.
The important things to know are children should actually not have tantrums.
Okay.
So that's a mindset.
They
shift.
cannot have tantrums?
They should not have
Okay.
tantrums. It's
Okay.
not a phase that kids go through.
Okay.
It's not something that that a prolonged tantrum is a natural thing. It's just a phase, they'll get over it. No.
Okay.
They shouldn't be having tantrums, and it goes back to the social and emotional training.
Okay.
The second thing is there are actually different types of tantrums.
Okay.
So really understanding what type of tantrum your child is having, and then going to what you need to do to be able to help them. For an example, a lot of kids have tantrums because they're tired or overstimulated or they're hungry. They're off of their pattern during the day.
Okay, so they can't. Cause I can hear parents screaming right now. Kids don't have tantrums. What? So they can have tantrums. They do have tantrums.
Yes.
But you need to identify the source of what's going on in their environment.
Yes.
Okay.
What I was trying to say was that you can have a child that doesn't have tantrums.
Okay.
It's a completely normal thing.
Okay.
For children not to have tantrums.
Okay.
If they are having tantrums, which doesn't mean there's anything wrong,
Okay.
you just have to figure out what the cause is and then address it, because there are different types of tantrums. So now, if it's none of the things that you can control and it's the emotional tantrum,
Okay.
where they don't have control over their emotions, you go back to the social and emotional learning. Teaching them how to address their emotions, catching them before they have a tantrum, looking for the cues, looking for the triggers, and then teaching them how to handle it before it escalates into emotions they can't control.
Okay, so you really need to be observant in that situation.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And that, I mean, the whole show, Raising EI, that I've done, which launches at the end of February, focuses on the social and emotional teaching that parents can do with their children to help eliminate tantrums.
Okay.
And to really get them socially and emotionally grounded. To also answer the second question is how do you deal with people who are mean?
Mm-hmm.
How do you deal with people who you don't understand, who have different opinions about you? How do you stay self-grounded and really understand your self-worth? Apart from what it takes, apart from being dependent on somebody else.
So this EI, say that again, that launches in February?
So it's Raising EI,
okay.
which is one of the shows that we're launching at the end of February.
Okay, and where do they go? To the ParentTalk.tv?
ParentTalk.tv.
Okay, okay, excellent, very good. So Julie, check those out for sure. And my biggest takeaway from what she is saying is try to identify before you think the tantrum's going to come on, and then also if they're having a tantrum, what's going on in the environment. Is the radio blaring and the TV on and you're fighting in the background and the teenager's yelling? Maybe it's too much stimulation. So kind of see what's going on. Maybe they had a really long day at school, they got up earlier, maybe, I don't know, they're 2, maybe they're in daycare or whatever, but trying to find, maybe they're just tired.
Yes.
So
a lot of parents stop napping at really early ages, and that's a trend that we're trying to shift because children need downtime to process all of the information.
We need downtime.
We need downtime.
Oh my gosh.
Yes.
There are,
yes.
Just yes.
Take it
just yes. Moving on.
Take it down.
Mommy becomes a biter when she doesn't have her nap. Okay. All right, let's see. So there is one more question on here, and I'm sure it went away, and it did. So I'll give you another question here.
Okay.
Okay, that's the patient one. My children are always fighting. Always. They love each other, but the fighting never ends. Any advice while I pull up this next question?
So I would really focus on team building exercises. I know that it seems that they fight all the time. They probably don't. There's probably a pattern to when they are fighting. So if you look at the clock and just document for a week when you're seeing that intense interaction between them, you might start to see a pattern. And then, again, get it before that time every day. Try team building exercises. One fun thing I had a parent do, which she thought I was nuts, but worked incredibly well. Tie their legs together, one leg from each one, and then give them a list of things that they have to do together. And I made a mommy chores, or daddy chores. So go take the clothes from the hamper, go put it in the laundry, empty the dishwasher, and go wash the car, empty the car, vacuum the car, whatever. They have to do it with their legs tied together, and then give them a huge reward at the end of it.
I love that. I saw a parent put them in the same coat together. Coat. I think that's great. And then and what I do with the boys when they're fighting is I'm like, let's say we're leaving for school. I'm like, we'll be late until you hug. They're like, what? Mom, we gotta go. Nope, not till you hug. And then they kind of do this little side hug. I'm like, oh no, I'm talking about brother love hug. Really hugging. Arms around each other. And then they end up laughing it off because they do love each other.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, all right.
And there are some physical activities that you can do too. One thing I started with the triplets is rock climbing.
Okay.
And you can actually have one sibling climb the rocks and the other sibling is responsible for their safety with a rope.
Wow.
So I recommend the parents stay very close.
Because that kid at the bottom might be really pissed off.
But it's a really great team building for siblings.
Okay, so team building, fun, getting them together. And as a parent too, make sure that you're not always like saying to one, if Supna and Wes were my kids, and I was like, Wes, Supna's always on time. She's always getting her shoes ready. What's going on with you? Why can she do it and you can't? Be really careful in cutting them and causing that divide.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right, so I do have the question here. Just give me a moment. Okay, so I have a 15-year-old that thinks she knows everything. 15-year-olds do know everything.
They do know everything.
Okay, moving on. No,
Used to
yeah, right. We were 15. Remember when we knew everything? She thinks she knows everything and is entitled to everything without any effort. Mind you, she is not spoiled, and she doesn't get her way all the time. But she still acts as if she is entitled to whatever she wants. Any advice on how to handle this situation? It's hard to have a conversation with her at the something, because as parents, we are so annoying, always asking how her day went at school. So it sounds like it's just hard to even get a conversation in with her.
Yeah.
So what can she do for her 15-year-old that thinks she's entitled to everything and knows everything?
So this one's sometimes hard for parents to hear, but parenting is sometimes more about the parent than it is about the child.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say really evaluate and take an honest look at what's going on at home.
Okay.
Take an honest look at how you react to things,
Okay.
how you address things, and see if maybe in some way she's mirroring what she sees.
Okay.
Having the conversation and just really being consistent, that one-on-one time, even with children who are 15 years old, parents and children can read together, they can do activities together that will really help grow the emotional bond, do activities with her that she really loves, and keep working on it.
And here's one tip. I would say, and if you haven't done this all along, it's going to make it hard, but implement it now. You're going to get a little anger and resentment from her initially, so just hold on. But make her work for stuff. So is she going to, be able to use your car when she turns 16? Well, damn it, she needs to work to be able to use that car. So maybe she has to do the dishes and change the laundry twice a week in order to be able to use that car. It's a full-time job.
It's a full-time
It's a
job.
full-time job, but you can reverse that sense of entitlement, which so many 15, 16, and 17-year-olds have. So gas. Well, I know that you have to get to school this morning. I'm not going to give you gas money. You haven't done anything around here.
Yeah.
And stick to it. And it sucks now that you have to drive them to school. She's not entitled to the car. That car is a privilege. And so she needs to work for these things. So if she wants to go to Universal Studios with her friends in 2 weekends, you can give her the money to go. But she needs to work for that money.
It.
What is she going to do around the house or do to help you? Or
volunteer.
Yeah.
Get her an organization that is going to speak to something she's passionate about and pay her to volunteer.
Yeah.
Or, give her
Something.
a reward at the end.
Yes,
Yeah,
make her find little ways. Everything you give her. I understand in August she might need new school clothes for junior year.
Yeah.
She needs to work for that. What is she going to do over the summer? Is she going to take an extra class or make her bed or make your bed? It could be little stupid stuff, but she needs to work for it.
And the hardest part about being a parent is the work, right? You have to stay really consistent with the decisions that you make. And it's so hard when you've got a 15-year-old nagging you all day or all the time about, why do I have to? Why do I have to? Why do I have to? You have to stick to your guns. Know that you're not the only parent going through it. Know that there are a million other parents out there with 15-year-old
Which is why this segment is running over, because there are every parent.
Exactly. So many other parents are going through the same thing.
Yep.
Stick to your guns. Know that you're doing what's best for your child, and just be confident in that.
That's awesome. Excellent. Okay, so we have a few questions left, but what we're going to do is we end the show at 10:30. I got to stick to it. I have to respect the guest time and your time. We are going to jump on an audio call after this. After every Dr. Jaime show, we have an audio. We're going to answer the questions that we're not going to be able to answer live on that audio, and that audio and this live segment will be up on YouTube on Monday. Make sure you subscribe to YouTube, iTunes, Google Play. You can hear the playback of both this and the audio. Supna, thank you for joining us on the Dr. Jaime Show.
Thank you.
Where can they find out everything about you?
ParentTalk.tv.
ParentTalk.tv. Great. Is there any social media handles, or should we go to ParentTalk? Should we go to your website to be able to follow you?
Yep, all of the social media handles are on there.
Okay, so say that one more time.
ParentTalk.tv.
Excellent. Say that 3 times after a glass of wine. Okay, and if you could leave the viewers with one sentence, one piece of advice, what would it be?
You're not alone. You're doing a really good job, and more support is on its way.
Excellent. More support is on its way in the audio that we are going to run right after this. Happy Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching the Dr. Jaime Show episode this week. I really hope that you enjoyed it. Do me a favor and subscribe to me on iTunes and YouTube. And of course, please give me some feedback on the show. Looking forward to reading it.